Hi, and welcome to Rise, Heal, and Grow. I'm Leah M. Hill. This show is a podcast production of Apollo Sunrise Center, which is a holistic wellness retreat center in Newburyport, Massachusetts, offering interactive experiences for learning, transformation, and growth. On this show, we shine the light on those who nurture wellness and inspire positive change. My guest today is Rebecca Arnold. She is an executive leadership coach, a best-selling author, and a former attorney. Welcome, Rebecca.
It's great to be here with you, Leah.
Thank you. Thanks for coming in today. Yeah. So I want to get to know you a little bit more about your background and your career as an attorney, and also your work in education policy at the federal level. That sounds fascinating. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I started my career wanting to work on education equity, which brought me initially to teaching and then to law school to work on large system change at the policy level.
Wow.
And I loved it.
You did.
And what I have found in my career is that I have ended up toggling between macro impact and micro impact.
Okay.
So I think of that phase of my life as really being about macro impact, looking at ways to push students to achieve at higher levels, to take more rigorous coursework, to look at career and technical education more comprehensively, and make a lot of shifts in that manner.
So basically, it sounds like, you know, for those students who are, you know, on a trajectory, to give them more opportunities, maybe on their path. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And then a lot of work on promoting social emotional skill development for students.
Wow.
Because of the research that is really pervasive now on the impact of students' social emotional skills on their long-term success.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I love that too. I worked not in the education system like you did, but a little bit more on the state level, and I was also fascinated by it. I really enjoyed it for a while. But what happened to you that you became burnt out? Was it just became too intense, or what was going on with you at the time when you decided to evolve out of that role?
Yeah, so I actually was working at a nonprofit, working on promoting social emotional skill development for students. And I was pushing, and had this feeling of being on a hamster wheel, feeling like I wasn't meeting my kids' needs or my own needs or my work's needs. I was really committed to the work we were doing, big picture, but there was a values misalignment in how we were going about doing it operationally.
Okay.
And I actually see this a lot with my clients. When we have a values misalignment in our work, it's often a pernicious source of stress. It takes us a while to figure out what's going on.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about that. Talk a little bit about the work that you do. And this is in your role as the executive leadership coach, right?
Yeah.
Is it just for high achieving leaders, or okay?
Yeah. So I work mostly with academics at higher education institutions, attorneys, physicians, social impact leaders.
Okay.
And they often come to me when they're at some kind of an inflection point. They're feeling like they love their work, but they're not having the level of impact they know they could have.
Okay.
And also the strategies they had been using are no longer working for them.
And that sounds similar to what you just described happened to you. It's like you still love what you're doing and you love the purpose and the drive for your work, but it's a little different when you're just getting burnt out and it's no longer sustainable. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, I think of my work as I am the coach I wish I had as I was approaching burnout and really needed some support.
Right.
And so I am my clients' biggest fans. I really believe in them, the work they're up to. And so our work together is figuring out how to make their work more sustainable so that they can continue in the leadership roles that they can flourish in.
Without burning out.
Yeah.
Totally. So when they come to you, your clients come to you with these issues and these problems, what are some of the symptoms or signs where they feel like, oh gosh, I really need you, I need some help?
So sometimes what I often find, especially in the high achieving fields, is that people have spent a long time in training.
Yeah, right.
And then they get to a position and they recognize, I don't have all the skills I need to be successful.
Oh.
So for example, when I work with academics, they've spent their entire careers researching, and now they run a huge lab, and they've never created a lab before by themselves.
Yep.
And so there's some skill gaps sometimes in how to do that. For other folks, it's a question of, I used to stay up all night and now I have kids and I can't do that anymore.
Oh, sure.
Or
Right.
my body won't let me continue at this pace.
Yeah.
How can I continue to be successful?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I totally get that, because I remember as well when I worked in like a sales field, and I did very well in this sales position, and then I became the sales manager, and it was a real different experience where it was like, oh, okay, I know what worked for me when it was just me, but now thinking about managing other people, it was a whole different story.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah. So,
And then we start to think something's wrong with us, or we're not good at something,
Yeah.
instead of recognizing, oh, this is actually a new type of skill I need to grow in.
okay, yeah, that's what I think. It's like we get this fear that, oh, somebody else thought we could do this job, and so they put us in this job, but then maybe we really can't handle it, or we can't do it.
Yeah, there's a
that right?
lot of
So-
stories we make up.
Yeah, definitely.
A common theme among all of us.
Yeah, and as professionals too, we really, identify ourselves by our job, right? And I'm sure you did too, as an attorney and working in the education system. And like, how do you help people with that when it's like their job, their career, or someone like you said that has spent most of their career with this research or on one project? How can you help someone kind of see beyond that?
Yeah, this is often a challenge that's underneath the surface when
Okay.
people come in. As you say, detaching their identity from their work in a way where oftentimes our work and our worth become fused
Work and our worth become fused.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
in an unhealthy way.
Yeah.
And so of course we feel good about our work and the impact we're making. But when our identity becomes too fused with that, it becomes much harder to set boundaries and really take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
So in service of that, I often do a thought experiment with clients and say, if you could no longer do the work you're doing, let's say you had a catastrophic accident,
Okay.
and you could no longer do the work that you're doing, where would your worth and value come from?
Oh boy, that's a big question.
And it's I always
Yeah.
warn people before I
Yeah,
ask this question.
that's a big question. Okay.
And it's sort of an unfolding of realization of,
Yeah.
I really matter to my family.
Right.
It matters how I am in the world with people I encounter. My energy matters.
Yeah.
My thoughts matter and the conversations I have with people. And so that often can start the disentangling.
Okay.
But it's a process, right? Because oftentimes with high achievers, what I see is that people early on, myself included, found a lot of worth and value in their families being a high achiever. So that's how people got attention and belonging.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, so they were getting this approval or this reinforcement, I would call it, all this time, and kept them going until the point of the burnout, like you said, when you can't when you can't separate those two things, your work and your worth. That's fascinating.
Yeah. So we start to look at what are other sources of belonging and confidence and
Okay.
feeling good about yourself that don't have to include just being on this hamster wheel all the time.
Yeah, definitely. And you talk about the internal infrastructure as well. So this is maybe you can explain it better, but it's like not just the outside, like people praising us and saying we're doing a good job, but that internal infrastructure which would actually help us if something like that happened, where we had to separate from our work and really look at who we are. Can you explain what that is a little bit?
So oftentimes when we're on this achievement pipeline, we override ourselves, our own needs, desires, body sensations.
Right.
And so part of building our internal infrastructure is often about rebuilding a sense of self-trust, knowing that you have your own back, practicing self-compassion. Most people who are very high achievers think they have to drive themselves hard in order to achieve at high levels, and think if they're too easy on themselves, they'll let their pedal off the gas and they'll be done.
Exactly. That's a very big fear. I totally
And
get
so
that.
when we start to recognize that there are mindsets that can help us and support us, there are physical practices that can help build our internal infrastructure, there is questions around how you metabolize stress and what you do with it, because we're all going to encounter it, then you start to have much greater capacity to do your work for a much longer period of time at the level you want to perform at.
Okay, so what you're saying is that will help with the like long-term success of someone's career or someone's goal, as opposed to someone who just kind of like takes off and then burns out and crashes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I often see with people who've encountered burnout, myself included, when it happens multiple times,
Okay.
we need to start looking at the internal factors that are contributing to that. So things like self-doubt, perfectionism, procrastination, people pleasing. I'm looking at you. So many of us grapple with these things.
Yeah, I hear you.
And so when we have these experiences multiple times, it's really an invitation for us to start looking at those internal parts of us that are contributing.
Right.
That said, there are also external factors that contribute to burnout. So I don't want to overstate the internal ones. People are working at faster and faster paces.
Yep.
Companies are not always keeping up with the actual labor demand and expecting people to metabolize more and more work. And so it's both. There are internal and external
That's
factors.
what makes it even harder too.
Yeah.
And your life situation that you had when you had burned out, did that also cause illness for you, or you had to deal with some physical issues as well?
Yeah, so what actually happened, I've had a chronic illness from my early 20s, and it affects my ability to metabolize stress. It's the same disease that JFK had, so I'm in good company.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah, so it didn't cause that, but
Okay.
it exacerbated it.
Okay.
And so what I've learned from going through that experience is I really need to think about my level of stress as a canary in the coal mine of how things are going more broadly in my life.
Right.
And really take responsibility for thinking about how to metabolize that stress on a regular basis.
Wow, that's a lot of work.
Yes.
Especially, I could see that, especially when you were in such a high level, intense job for so many years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you're used to pushing yourself, you override, as I said, you override a lot of the signals. So I've had to learn what are the early signals that things are off track.
Right. I get that too. I mean, even me in my job, I could feel it in my body when I'm going to get sick. If I don't stop and do something right at that moment, I'll end up, sick in bed for a week with the flu or a cold or something. So it really takes just paying attention early on. Like you said, I think that's really important. So, part of that too, which I know you talk about, and we'll talk about your book too in a minute, but is about setting boundaries to help protect your energy so that you don't get the burnout and you don't overextend yourself. But doing that without guilt is a challenge, especially if you have to set boundaries with someone you love and care about and, or a family member, like you said, or a friend. It's really hard to do. Can you talk about how you help people with that as well?
Yes. So this is I think of as a symptom of overriding our inner instincts.
Oh, it's a symptom.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it contributes and it's a symptom. I guess it's both ways.
All right. Now I'm intrigued.
Yeah. So when we resist setting a boundary, it's often because we're worried about the other person's reaction.
Sure. Right.
And we take a person's negative reaction as evidence that we did something wrong. We were too harsh. We were too firm.
Right.
We didn't consider their needs.
Right.
And sometimes reframing that a little bit for ourselves, that resistance or friction is someone understanding new levels of a game, different ways of playing the game, right?
Okay.
So if you say to a friend, I often find you're dominating the conversation when we're together, and that has the impact of making me feel much less important. And I know that's not what you want, but that's what the effect is on me. And they have a reaction. You can think about all the reasons they might have a strong reaction to that actually have nothing to do with you.
Right. It's really just you speaking your truth.
Yep.
And honoring who you are. And a really, I mean, if people could say that would probably save a lot of relationships, but that's really not the way that it goes, right? It usually goes a lot rougher.
Yes.
And then it comes off a lot worse and it ends the relationship instead.
Yeah. So what often happens is we're worried about doing it, so we wait and we wait until we're really stressed and aggravated. Yeah, and then we are not our best selves communicating our needs and boundaries.
Right.
And then the cycle continues.
Yeah, I'm definitely guilty of that, of like letting it go on because I'm the one, losing sleep over it or trying to over process it in my head when I should have just said it right out in the beginning. And then by then it's like so awkward and difficult that, and then like you said, if I don't get the reaction that I'm expecting or wanting from the other person, then I start going, oh, did I say the wrong thing? Was it the wrong time? Should I have waited? Should I have waited? And you go back and forth with it.
Right, and then it sets up this cycle where we're like, well, I'm never going to say that again.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you get more stressed and then it continues.
Right. Oh, definitely. So let's talk about your book. It's called, hold it up here, The Rooted Renegade, Transform Within, Disrupt the Status Quo, and Unleash Your Legacy. This sounds interesting. So I started reading it. I didn't get to finish it entirely. You could see my little tabs here. I have a few tabs that I like, but there were a couple of things before we talk about your book that I noticed that I thought was interesting. So first of all, the first thing I tagged was that from your experience, what you talked about was believing my only value came from serving others, that I deserved to rest only when everything in my work and home life was perfect, and that my life was worthless unless I made a significant impact. Just that sentence really stuck with me because I think it's so resonant for so many people to feel those things. You're like, my value only comes from serving others because we feel so much pressure to do that.
Yeah.
That's what we have to do. So maybe you can talk a little bit about the book.
Especially people who have been socialized as women and other marginalized identities. There's often a pressure to serve in order to belong. Or if that's not explicit, it's implicit. And so cultivating a sense of belonging in yourself to yourself can be so empowering and loosen some of the holds of that. So the book is really, what I realized over a number of years of working with high achieving folks is that the thing that most of us are really craving beyond the vacations, beyond the stuff, is a sense of peace, deep peace.
Okay.
And what I have seen is what generates that is knowing how to settle your nervous system, do work that is really aligned with your passions, not what someone else thinks is important.
Yeah.
And cultivating a relationship with yourself that builds you up instead of breaks you down. And so the book incorporates so many strategies that I use with clients every day, and it feels like a gift I wanted to give the world of these strategies I know support people so much that I wanted people to get their hands on them.
Yeah, and that was one of the first things I noticed when I was flipping through your book is all the activities and the exercises that you include in every chapter, like a lot of them, so that people, it's not just reading the concept, but people can actually put it to practice right away and try to practice what you're describing and what you're talking about, which is so helpful. It's so good to be able to do that than just trying to conceptualize it. I'm not someone who can just read a book and then know how to do it. I can't just read a science book and then know it. It's like I have to work with it and do it. So that's why I appreciate a book like yours that has all these activities.
Yeah, well, I've seen in my practice that the combination, the sort of trifold combination of mindset, somatic practices with your body, and then practical things is really a beautiful trio that actually leads to more sustainable change.
Okay, so I think we talk about mindset a lot. We hear that a lot in the world and on the media. And then the somatic. Can you talk a little bit about that and what that is?
Yes. So we often operate from here down. Sorry.
Okay.
No. From here
okay.
up.
I was going to say, wait a minute. Okay.
And we think of our bodies as just transporting our brains. And that's not actually how it works. And you all know this, I know this, but we don't always internalize it in the way that we need to.
Right.
And so if I were to say to you, let's work on your sense of joy. But let's do it like this, hunched over, tight, constricted.
Okay.
Now feel
Should I
joyful.
Sure. Should I try?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you all can try at home too.
I'm going to try it. Okay.
Feel joyful from this, right? Your body is saying to you, are you kidding me? We are not joyful. We are stressed. We are small.
Right. Hiding.
If instead we just roll our shoulders back, maybe bounce a little, smile. We have not changed any mindset. We have not worked on habits. All we've done is shifted our body. And we have much more access to joy, as an example.
Yeah, I can feel the difference. It's like even my whole heart area feels more expanded and lighter. And it's like you would think about it conceptually, but to actually do it physically, then you get it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you think about your purpose and what you're up to in the world, and someone comes into a session or you're talking to a friend and you can see their shoulders raised and they're like this.
Right.
Versus talking about your purpose and what you're up to from this expansive place physically, it will lead to different thoughts and actions. And so that's a piece of what I talk about what I mean somatic.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you want to think better, be better, do better, you're not going to achieve that by withdrawing and holding yourself in that tight position, but by physically and somatically being able to change that and shift that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So even I'll say to a client who's resisting a manuscript, for example, when you think about sitting down to work on your manuscript, how are you holding your body? And I'll watch them go from this to some version of constricted, constrained, stressed.
Wow, that's fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah. And so if we can start to notice some of those patterns we have and shift them, there are all these positive cascading impacts.
Yeah. Yeah, it totally makes sense that you can physically do that. And so the somatic would also help with the breathing as well, just breathing better and acknowledging your focus. Like, this is what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to work on my manuscript. So then kind of getting into that space first would make it so much more impactful.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I talk sometimes with folks about the muscle memory of different types of work that we do. So if you think about, some of my clients do a lot of calculations. And so they might have calculation mode where they set their desk up a certain way, they hold their body a certain way, and it helps them get into that frame much quicker.
Yeah.
Whereas other people may want to access more creativity. So we talk about, what does your context need to look like in order to do that?
Okay.
How are you holding your body and setting yourself up to make that much easier for yourself?
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's so helpful. And you've worked with some very high, powerful leaders, and like leaders from Google, from Harvard University, and then you also work with small business owners like myself. So are there any like commonalities or threads that you notice with all of us, so that those of us who aren't the Google executives can feel like we can still benefit from your work?
Yeah, the more people I work with, and it's been hundreds at this point, the more I see how similar most of us are in our internal infrastructure or lack thereof. So I would say really the biggest thing is cultivating a sense of self-trust.
Oh, okay.
And what I mean by that is many of us spend a lot of time shoving ourselves in some kind of a box. I should have a schedule this way. I should work this way. I should have this kind of relationship with my kids. I should talk to myself this way. And we override our internal signals, our internal beliefs. And so cultivating a sense of self-trust where you're paying attention to your inner signals, recognizing there's probably some wisdom there, helps to build intuition. It helps to build a sense of compassion. It helps us to connect with our impact more readily. All of those things are helpful if you are a Harvard professor or you're a stay-at-home mom doing some of the hardest work we have on the planet. And so it is all supportive of us.
Right, that makes sense. And it makes me think of the title of your book is The Rooted Renegade. So being rooted sounds like, really centered within yourself and first, and then being the renegade, the one that pushes out there, that goes and achieves whatever they want to achieve. Is that right, or am I, am I getting it?
Yes.
Okay.
Great job. Because if we have the renegade without the rooted part, we flame out. Most of us flame out at some point. And what I'm really about is having people stay in it for the long haul to see through the changes that they want to make. We have a lot we need to do in our world right now. And so I just so want good people to be able to stay in their positions and really thrive.
Yeah, because you're right. There's so much we need to do, and we need the people in those positions to drive these things forward, to drive these, like the policies that you worked on, that otherwise, I don't know, things wouldn't just happen organically. It's like you got to have someone in that place, in that position, driving the policy or the structure forward. That makes sense. Definitely.
Yeah, and there's so much pressure of the status quo to remain as is.
Yeah.
And so having your own back, cultivating allies who really back you up, knowing how to settle your nervous system so you can continue
So you
on
can
are
do it.
crucial.
Yeah, especially in the face of so much, change and drama and things that are happening every day, not only in the work environment, but in someone's family as well. And then to try to focus on your work and what you have to do next, it's very overwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if there was someone watching or listening here today who just feels like, I want this, but I don't even know where to start. Like, I want this feeling of being the rooted renegade. I got all these things in my head that I want to achieve, all these things I want to do. How can I just, get started on this path, but knowing that I'm still centered and focused within myself? Is there anything that any practice or idea that you can share?
Yeah, so one of the best starting places I've found is to fast forward into the future.
Oh, okay.
So ask yourself 10 years from now, if nothing changed, how would you feel about that?
Oh, that's an
And for
interesting
most people,
question.
that's
Okay.
a little bit of a,
Yeah.
have a reaction like this.
I get that. That's about what I just did. Yeah. It's like, whoa.
Because
okay.
it's confronting in a good way.
Okay.
Because that friction is the thing that will help you make some of the small changes to start to get there. So if in 10 years you say, I cannot sustain this level of stress 10 years from now, I can't continue on this way, then we can come back to the present day. What are 2 very small shifts you can do this week to make it better? And I'm talking about really small.
2 things.
2
okay.
things.
All right.
Maybe it's I'm going to take a deep breath whenever I open my email. We check our email probably 100 times a day.
Oh my gosh, I'm like addicted
Yeah.
to it. Yeah, yeah.
So imagine if you just felt your feet on the floor, took a deep breath every time you checked your email, how much more expansiveness and space you would have in your day to day. That's an
Right.
example of a very small change.
But that's really good because I'm learning too that I don't have to respond to an email immediately because
Yes.
just because I expect other people to respond to my emails immediately when I send them out, I'm like, why aren't they responding? But I realize I don't have to do that. I can take that breath, and that's been really big for me lately. I like that.
I just find there's so much when we do these tiny practices, they add up over time.
Yeah.
Right? So if every time you wash your hands after you use the bathroom, if you just looked at yourself in the mirror and were like, this is hard and I'm doing my best. Or you said, wow, look at that smile, girl. Whatever it is, right?
I see. Giving yourself a little encouragement
Yes.
in the mirror.
And something consistent.
Yeah.
It adds up to a lot by the end of the week.
Yeah, I could see that. And when it becomes a habit and it feels normal and natural, then it's not like an effort anymore to do this. It's just much more easy. So, wow, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
So tell everybody how to connect with you if they want to work with you or learn more about what you do, as well as how to get your book.
Yeah, thank you. So the book, again, is called The Rooted Renegade.
I'll hold it up again.
Thank you. You can get it on Amazon, bookshop.org, really anywhere you purchase your books from. There's a Kindle version and also a hard copy. There are lots of exercises. So
Yes,
some people have
I'm
called this
working
the
my
coach on
way.
their bookshelf,
Yes.
their nightstand Bible. There's a lot
I
of
know.
delightful things people have said.
Yeah, I mean, you could really just flip through it and pick one thing that you want to do.
Yeah,
So,
I really think
yeah.
about it as a companion as you're going through different challenges that you're
Yeah.
grappling with. My business is called Root Coaching and Consulting, 2 O's. So you can find me there on my website, at Root Coach on Instagram, and I'm around. I would be delighted to talk with folks who are up to good work in the world.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, and I realized the other page that I tabbed was your chapter that's entitled Dance with Mortality. I think that was what you were kind of just talking about with the looking 10 years into the
Yes.
future. I was like, ooh, okay, I got to pay attention here because I kind of had that reaction when I saw it. I went, whoa, what is this question? What is it
Yes.
about? Dancing with mortality. But very helpful, really helpful information. Thank you so much for being here today.
It was a delight.
It
Thank you
was
for having me.
Wonderful to learn about what you do, and you shared so much important information, I think, for a lot of people.
Thank
So
you. It was
that
great
was
to be
great.
here.
Thanks for being here. And thank you, all of you, for watching or listening here today on Rise, Heal, and Grow with Leah M. Hill. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe on whatever platform you're joining us on today. And if you'd like to be a guest here at the BevCam studio in Beverly, Massachusetts, just go to apollosunrise.com/podcast, and all the information is right there. Thanks again for watching, and please join us again soon. We have lots more episodes coming up.